What's going on, you guys? Welcome on back to the channel. Now, the newest episode of My Hero Academia Vigilantes has officially dropped. And honestly, man, I keep saying this every week, but this right here is one of the best episodes of Vigilantes that I think we've seen. And it isn't just because of like the action or anything like that. It was also just for like the emotional moments that we got. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the newest episode of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. So, first thing that I really want to talk about here is the heroes that were on site for this moment. What I loved so much was seeing Best Jeanist essentially come up with the plan to save everybody, but doing it in a way that utilizes their own skill sets. So, for example, we saw like Midnight and a lot of the other heroes comforting the kids since they can't really do much in terms of like combat. They can help be on the ground, keeping the kids like calm and safe and all that. I thought that was a really nice touch. I thought that was a really cool thing for like those section of heroes to be doing because any other show, they wouldn't really have much to do, but they gave them an important role, and that's keeping these kids safe, keeping these kids calm so that way they're not panicking. Next, dude, another thing that I also like too is just like seeing characters like Mirko like fighting at full strength again. Mirko, as My Hero Academia kind of progressed, she got more and more like battle tested and scarred. So seeing Mirko in her prime, like fighting and doing attacks, that was honestly really cool to me. I loved basically just seeing all the heroes like operating in their prime. You got to see Best Jeanist, you got to see Edgeshot. So, and you also got to see like a little Best Jeanist Edgeshot interaction, which helps to solidify that yes, they did know each other and they were friends. So it kind of helps put put that dynamic kind of like in place early on because in My Hero Academia, it kind of felt shoehorned in because they never really had any meaningful interaction. Here, you can tell they're clearly friends. So that interaction might have seemed small, but it was honestly very important for the overall like story of My Hero Academia. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is Koichi himself. Koichi, as we all know, has essentially been given a very important role for My Hero Academia as a whole. Now that we know that Deku is in Sky Egg, even though we're probably not going to see him for like the rest of it, I think he was just a cameo now. But even though we're not going to see him, he has a very important role, helping protect the 50,000 people that are in Sky Egg, but also protecting Deku as well. Like the most important character in the story. They just don't know it yet. So Koichi is essentially tasked with protecting the future. But what I like about Koichi too is he doesn't really see himself kind of as the main hero or anything like that. He doesn't see himself as essentially the protagonist of his own story because when he's protecting Captain Celebrity, he's basically saying that he's only just kind of trying to hold off these creatures long enough until the actual heroes get on site. Now, what I like about this mentality is that it shows that Koichi has such an unwavering admiration for heroes that he knows that they are going to show up and help him at some point. He's just holding them off until like they get there. So Koichi has an interesting mentality in that he doesn't really see himself as a true hero or anything like that. So I'm honestly waiting for that switch to kind of get flipped because Koichi, I feel like, is only just going to get more and more important. And I think it's going to get to a point where he can't rely on any other heroes. He can only rely on himself. Like, that's what I think Sky Egg is going to do. I think Sky Egg now is the turning point. Everything that we're seeing now, like, everything that we had in the past with Vigilantes, where it was essentially villain of the week and stuff like that, and it kind of felt a lot more chill and stuff like that, with Narufest and all that stuff. I think that's over, right? I think now we've officially reached a point within the narrative that so the story is changing, right? The story is rapidly evolving, and I think now it's going to be strictly kind of like trying to stop this threat, right? That's essentially what I think Vigilantes is going to be now for the rest of its run. I don't think we're going to be getting really any big slice of life episodes or anything like that. I think that era is over. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Koichi does now as the story continues to evolve, because now he only kind of sees himself as like a means to an end, something like that. So since he only sees himself as a means to an end, how does that switch get flipped, right? How does he like become the hero that we all know that he can be? So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next, especially now that we know that Six is still on site. So I want to know if like Koichi and Six are going to have an interaction next chapter, because we got to see Six in this episode, and man, Six is devolving fast, right? Like he kind of seemed all put together for a while then, but as soon as he saw like Koichi and Captain Celebrity and all the heroes like effectively working together in tandem to like stop his attack, you see him start to lose it a little bit. He starts like you see him start to break down, and what I like too is in this moment, he's kind of similar to Shigaraki, right? He's kind of erratic. He's saying stuff that Shigaraki was saying like at the beginning of My Hero Academia when he said stuff like game over. So I'm starting to wonder now if he is working for All for One. I think All for One, certainly has like a type. He wants the erratic people that he knows that he can control. But what happens to Six that like he's not in the story anymore? So I'm wondering what happens to him there. So that's going to be a really cool thing, like as we explore more of the story. Like, does Six get so erratic that All for One kind of has to step in and take him down? I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. Now, kind of like one of the last things that I really want to talk about is Captain Celebrity. Dude, Captain Celebrity has become such a great character in my eyes. He went from being kind of just like one no, I didn't really care about him in season one, to now he effectively has had such a good character arc that I bought a potential Captain Celebrity sacrifice play, right? Like we get his flashback, we see him meet his wife, and what I like about the flashback is all these people admire him. All these people are like cheering him on, but you can't see any of their eyes, right? Captain Sub, you can't see any of these characters' eyes. He can only see his wife, right? And that shows that his wife is really the only character or the only person that matters to him in that moment, right? Everybody else is kind of just like a fan of the hero, right? His wife sees him as like Captain Celebrity, the person. That's what I like about so much about their interaction, or they're just the relationship, because she sees the real him, and as a result, and as a byproduct of that, he in turn like is completely changing for her, right? He's trying to become the man that she always knows that he could be, like. And I especially like during the flashback when you see her kind of kick him out, right? Because of all these scandals that have been going on. You see him, and then you see him start to look back on his life, on like people that he thought he could trust turning on him, like like him thinking that he was beating villains, he was actually like beating the victim, and then he was getting sued by them, and as a result of that, it kind of ruined his whole life, right? And you see him come to terms with that, like during the flashback. Like you get to see like the flashback of him in the trial room or the courtroom, and we then get to the point where he's essentially come to terms with everything, right? He's finally become the man that his wife has always wanted him to be. So what does he do? He lets go when he realizes that everyone is safe, right? That he held on long enough for everyone to get there. And I love so much that Koichi jumped to save him, right? Even though Koichi sees himself as kind of a means to an end, he still jumped to save Captain Celebrity in the end. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. We still know that they're falling, but I feel like we do know that All Might is going to show up, especially since the preview spoiled him for next episode. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with all that. I'm looking forward to seeing Koichi meet All Might for the first time. And I want to know, like, I wonder if like All Might would have ever considered giving his power to Koichi, because Koichi, in his own way, is similar to Deku. Even though he has a quirk and he's not quirkless, he's kind of similar to Deku in a lot of ways. So I wonder if All Might is going to see that and maybe think, man, maybe I could actually pass on All for One to Koichi. So I'm looking forward to next episode. Next episode, I think, is going to be a banger. We have Knuckle Duster coming back as well. So hopefully we get to see Knuckle Duster versus Six, something like that. I don't know, man. Next episode is going to be crazy. So let me know what you guys think about this episode down in the comments below. Did you guys like it as much as me? Or did you guys think that there were some elements of the episode that you thought could have been different? Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, I'm going to talk to you guys next time. Bye.